Welcome back, badasses, to the podcast. Inside of this training, I want to walk you through how to go from having these strong urges to binge to eating like a normal person again. Because I know how incredibly frustrating it can feel to have these demanding, strong, persistent urges that drive you to eat way more than your body actually needs. You can eat super healthy all day and then come home and feel like you want to just eat your whole pantry. You can feel quote unquote in control all week and then you miss a workout or you overeat at lunch or you have a stressful day and suddenly you feel like you're turning to food again. And it's so frustrating because maybe you genuinely love eating healthy, you work out, you're disciplined in so many areas of your life, but the moment that urge hits, it feels like somebody else is taking over your body. I used to describe it like an out-of-body experience. I knew what I was doing. I knew I was full. I knew I was binging. I knew I didn't want to feel painfully bloated afterwards, but I just felt like I couldn't stop myself. I remember standing in my kitchen, eating chocolate chip banana bread straight from the freezer. I was full. I knew I was so out of control with food, yet I just kept on eating, and it didn't feel like the true me. And then, of course, afterward, I feel so heavy and bloated and ashamed and guilty, uncomfortable in my body, and of course, promised myself that that was the very last time. I'm never, ever going to do that again, except sometimes literally the next day, I would feel another urge to binge. And somehow that promise that I made literally 24 hours earlier meant absolutely nothing. That urge would feel so strong. And sometimes I would try to not give in. I would book these late night yoga classes because evenings were normally the time that I would binge. So I figured, well, if I'm not home and I'm going to yoga, then I don't have an opportunity to binge. I would make myself tea to stop myself from mindlessly snacking. I would tell myself as soon as you get home from work, just go straight upstairs. Don't even go into the kitchen. I stopped buying trigger foods. I tried motivating myself. I tried using more willpower. And when none of that worked, I started wondering, what the heck is wrong with me? Why do I know? I don't want to binge and still feel like I absolutely have to. And by the way, if you're already listening to this thinking Lorna, this is literally me, and you already know you want support with this, you can message me, Conquer, on Instagram, and I'll send you all the details for my signature program, Conquer 2.0, where I help you rewire your brain out of these habitual cycles. But keep on listening because I want to show you why these urges feel so strong and what actually needs to change if you want to get back to eating like a normal person again. So the first thing I need you to understand, if you want to go from having these strong, demanding, persistent urges to eating like a normal person, is understanding that binge eating has become a habit inside of your brain. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you're lacking willpower. And it definitely doesn't mean you can just snap your fingers and stop. But it means that there's a reason why your binge urges feel so automatic. For years, you might have been teaching your brain rules like, don't eat after 7 p.m., 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, 4 ounces of protein, half a cup of rice, protein and vegetables at every meal. Don't keep trigger foods and sweets in the house. Be good during the week. And not only do those rules make you think about food so much more, of course, they create this feeling of deprivation. You start thinking about everything you're not supposed to have. The cookies, the chocolate, the bread, the ice cream, the peanut butter. And eventually your brain goes, I want it. And that's when the strong urge can come in. It can feel like this surge of energy through your body, this rush of anxiety, this sense of urgency. I literally need to eat it all right now. And because that feeling is so uncomfortable, you give in. You eat the cookies, you finish the brownies because, there's only 2 left. Or you tell yourself, F it, I'll do better tomorrow. And in that moment, you get relief. Your brain is learning something. When I feel the urge, I binge, and I feel relief. And so the next time the urge shows up, your brain remembers that. Oh, right, this is what we do. And every time you repeat that response, that pathway becomes more familiar, more automatic, more demanding. Your urges literally become more intense, more powerful, stronger, the more times you give in. And I can think back to the beginning of my binge eating, and I remember times when I could choose differently. Sometimes I'd go to bed, I'd just distract myself. Sometimes I wouldn't give in. But after years of repeating these habitual cycles, my urges felt different. It got to a point where I genuinely thought, like, I can't do anything about this. Like, I just have to give in. And that realization changed everything for me, because if my brain had learned when I feel an urge, I binge, then my brain can also learn when I feel an urge, I don't have to binge. And that is really where the rewiring begins. So I want to talk about your brain. And when it comes to your brain, there's 3 brains that you need to be aware of. The first brain is your restrict brain. This is the brain that tells you you have to follow these rules. You should feel bad for eating a cookie. You got to be good. Choose the lowest calorie option. You need to have protein and vegetables at every meal. No eating after 7 p.m. 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, aka this like diet culture brain where the rules and restriction live. Then you have your binge brain. And this is the brain that tells you, who cares? Just freaking eat all the brownies. You're going to do better tomorrow. One last time. I promise this is going to be the very, 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 very last time. You know how good it's going to feel when you just eat all that yummy, delicious food. You're going to feel that pleasure, that sense of relief. You're going to feel comforted. And you feel that sense of urgency, that sense of panic, the sense of I just need to give in right now. And then you have your true brain. This is the version of you who eats what sounds good while still taking really good care of yourself. This is the version of you who eats until you're completely satisfied and content. You don't overeat, you don't binge, there's no food thoughts. You truly just eat like a normal person. And of course, the goal is to quiet the restrict and binge brain and really turn up the dial on hearing and listening to your true brain. I want to give you an example. And by the way, shout out to my client, Erin. Erin, if you're listening to this, I'm just so proud of you, but I've just been loving the wins that you've been sharing on our coaching calls recently. So my client, Erin, went out for dinner with her husband on date night, and she ordered this pasta. And as soon as like the waiter came around and announced that there was like this special pasta dish, she was like, that just sounds good. And she immediately just ordered it. And she was able to actually take leftovers home. She didn't even finish her meal. She took leftovers home, and the next day she didn't even want the leftovers. It wasn't until the day after. And that is so huge because, man, I remember like when I used to take leftovers home, I would eat it like immediately the next day at like 10 a.m. so nobody else would eat it. But anyway, she ordered exactly what she wanted. She was able to stop eating when she was comfortably full and satisfied. She had leftovers and didn't even have them the next day. For dinner, she just had like a few bites, gave the rest to her husband. And her husband actually brought home this ice cream cake dessert. And it was in her house for 4 days until she finally was craving some. And she completely forgot about it by the time it thawed out, because she took it out of the freezer. It needed to thaw out. And by the time she actually remembered and it like thawed out, she was like, I literally completely forgot about this. And like, okay, sure, I'll have some. She had a few bites and put the rest back in the freezer. Just moved on with her night. And this is so huge. Like, there's just been so many breakthroughs. She never would have imagined this would happen to her. You know, she mentioned a few years ago, she would have had to order a meal with protein and vegetables and, you know, leaving food like leftovers and not even really wanting them the next day is so huge, and forgetting about food, like literally just completely forgetting about food. And, she even had her son brought home like these Aero chocolate bars, and they were in her house for like 5 days and completely forgot about them. And when she remembered them, she saw them, she was just looking for something. She just had like, you break off the Aero and there's like 3 little pieces. She just had that and like moved on. And it was right before dinner. In the past, she would have been like, no, I can't eat this now. I need to have it at night when I binge and everyone goes to bed. But instead, she just had like a little bit of chocolate and still had her dinner. This is normal eating. That is listening to your true brain of what sounds good, not what should I order at the restaurant. So it wasn't her restrict brain, because her restrict brain in the past would have been like, you can't order pasta. What are you talking about? Where's the protein? Where's the vegetables? Her binge brain in the past would have been like, well, you ordered the bad thing, quote unquote, bad thing, the pasta. So like finish it all. And dessert, well, don't share it with your husband. Eat it all because you already ate the pasta and you already ate so much. So just finish it. Just clean your plate. You'll do better tomorrow. You already ruined tonight. You went out for dinner. You already did bad and all of that. And now she can actually listen and honor her true brain of what actually sounds good, which is why she can feel comfortably full and satisfied and leave food in her house. And this is all so possible for you. She was actually talking about how when she first came on our coaching calls, she heard other people in the program that have been here longer than her, like sharing all these wins, like months binge free and just like no food thoughts. And she felt so far away from that. Like, I so badly want to get there, but that just feels so far away. And actually just today on one of our coaching calls, I asked her to come up and share with the badass community what has been really supportive for her, because she hasn't binged in probably like 10, 11 months now. And she's having all these incredible wins. And now she's that person that's inspiring everyone else on the call. So I'm sharing this with you because no matter how strong your restrict brain is or your binge brain is, you can absolutely rewire your brain and listen to your true brain and eat like a normal person again. So with all that being said, here's what actually needs to happen, broken down a little bit further. So 1, you need to create space between feeling the urge and giving in. Instead of automatically just giving in and being so reactive, you have to create that space, that pause. The goal is obviously to not give in to your binge urges, but you can do this step by step by step. Even just creating a pocket of time or space, as I call it, that can help weaken your binge urges. I'm talking like even 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You can work your way up to creating more space, more time, more space, more distance. But when you create that space between feeling the urge and giving in, you're reprogramming your brain. And whether you create more space or, of course, you don't give in, eventually when you stay consistent with this, your urges become less demanding, less intense, and they stop popping up. Just because you have urges right now doesn't mean you're going to have urges for the rest of your life. You have programmed this habit into your brain, and you can learn how to retrain your brain through creating more space. It is so easy to think, if I feel an urge, I have to give in because it's so uncomfortable. It feels like I can't focus on anything else, but discomfort is so part of the process. And I always say, you experience discomfort in so many other areas of your life. Feeling the urge is not different. Yes, it is hella uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and be like, oh, it's a walk in the park. Like, it just, you're on a rainbow and like, it's so easy. No, it is so uncomfortable. But you're a freaking badass and you can do hard things, and it will become easier over time the more you stay consistent with this, which kind of goes into the second piece, which is you need to build rewire reps. So I always say repetition is what rewires your brain. And every time you complete a rewire rep, which I'll explain what that is in a moment, you rewire your brain out of binge and emotional overeating. So a rewire rep is essentially doing the opposite of what you're currently doing or what dieting has taught you or what your restrict and binge brain are telling you to do. So for example, if you overeat, maybe you would normally not bother working out. You wouldn't bother going to a yoga class. You would eat a bunch more because you're like, screw it, I already ate so much. Your binge brain is telling you you're already bloated. You feel so gross. You feel disgusting. Just go to the pantry, eat the crackers because they're processed, and you never allow yourself to have processed food. So might as well enjoy them now. Tomorrow you're going to get back on track. Or maybe your restrict brain is telling you like, I can't believe you did that. What's wrong with you? Well, now you shouldn't eat dinner. You probably shouldn't have breakfast tomorrow. Your restrict brain is just beating yourself up, judging yourself, shaming yourself, and you just feel so bad and so guilty that you did something wrong. But your true brain, aka the version of you who is a normal eater, who eats like a normal person, if she overate at lunch, she'd still go for a walk. She'd still take care of herself. She would maybe assess how she feels at dinner time and check in, of course, and maybe have a lighter dinner if she's still not that hungry, but she wouldn't restrict and she wouldn't just be like, F it and just binge like crazy. So that's an example of a rewire rep. Another example would be, let's say you're at a restaurant and you ordered one of your favorite dishes. So I'm going to use an example of mine. So this just popped in my head. I was in Greece back in 2023. Andrew and I went to Greece, Santorini for our honeymoon. It was amazing, so beautiful. And we went to this one restaurant and I got this chicken pesto pasta, which was so freaking good. And if you don't enjoy that, I just want you to imagine your favorite food that you just picked at your restaurant. And let's say your restrict brain the entire time is like, you need to order a salad. You need to order the lowest calorie option. Or you're thinking to yourself, if you order the pasta, like, why are you eating this? You're not going to be able to lose weight. Why didn't you choose another option? So there's, again, the guilt, the shame, the judgment. And then maybe your binge brain is telling you, just keep on eating. Even though you're starting to feel full, your binge brain is just like, keep on going. You're on vacation. You don't eat this food often. It's okay. When you get home, you're going to get back on track. And who cares? You've already been eating so much this trip. You probably already put on weight. You're going to eat out tomorrow. You're going to eat out the next day. We only have a week left, so who cares? And you're full, but your binge brain is like, just keep on going, one more bite, one more bite. But your true brain is going to say, what sounds good? The salad maybe doesn't sound good, but when you realize that there was like this chicken pesto pasta, you're like, ooh, that sounds amazing. So you order that. And then when you start to notice you're feeling comfortably full and satisfied, you listen to that and you stop because there's no scarcity mindset. There's no all or nothing. You're not choosing what you think you should be eating. It's what sounds good. And when you listen to that brain, you're building a new rewire rep. You are literally training your brain to stop eating when you're comfortably full and satisfied. Instead of every time that you keep on eating past fullness and you say one more bite, that's when you're training your brain to continue eating past fullness every time. Everything is a habit loop. Binging is a habit loop. Overeating is a habit loop. Telling yourself one more bite when you're already full is also a habit loop that gets further ingrained into your brain the more times that you do it. So every time you create a rewire rep, you're rewiring your brain and getting back to eating like a normal person again who has freedom of choice. Not food freedom, but freedom of choice. And this is where I really want to make an important distinction between what I call food freedom and what I personally teach as freedom of choice. And I get so giddy and excited about this because I coined this term freedom of choice, and it's literally the best. Okay. So sometimes food freedom, people it gets interpreted as like, there's no rules. I can eat whatever I want. And yeah, like technically you're allowed to eat what you want, but if you're constantly eating in ways that leave you painfully full and bloated and uncomfortable, low energy, thinking about your body all day because you don't feel good, that's not freedom. Like for me, I never wanted to stop binge eating so I could have like chips and chocolate and brownies all day and throw my health out the window. I care about my health. I love feeling good. I love having energy. I love sweets. And I wanted both. I wanted freedom without the obsession. I wanted freedom without just like eating whatever I wanted. And that's when I really created this term, this process, freedom of choice, which means you are in the driver's seat deciding how you eat, not your urges, not stress, not boredom, not your restrict brain telling you what you should eat or your binge brain screaming like, F it, just eat everything. Because right now you might start off your day with like these really good intentions of eating in a way that is healthy, clean, good. You have breakfast, you have lunch, and then you come home from work and you're just so exhausted, you're so stressed out, and suddenly you're halfway through a pint of ice cream and you're like, that didn't even feel like me. Like, what just happened? But in that moment, stress was driving your behaviors with food, not you. Stress was. Or maybe you have 40 minutes before your next appointment and you don't really know what to do with yourself, so you wander into the kitchen and you just start eating. You're not even hungry, you just start eating. That's boredom being in the driver's seat. That's boredom driving your behaviors with food. Or you eat a cookie and your restrict brain is like, you shouldn't have eaten that. Then your binge brain is like, well, you already messed up. Again, you're not in the driver's seat at all. You weren't driving your behaviors with food, right? So food freedom is eat whatever the heck you want. I personally didn't want that. Like, yeah, sure. I wanted to be able to like go get ice cream and not feel guilty about it. Like, just have it be so normal. But I also wanted to eat very nutritious foods. I want to feel good in my body. I want to have energy. I want to have like strength in my workouts. I want to feel good. I want to look good. I want to be like the strong woman, like the strong badass. And I didn't want to feel out of control when I had something sweet. And I didn't want to feel restricted if I chose a salad. Like, I just wanted to be able to order a salad sometimes because that's just genuinely what I wanted. And I wanted to be able to like have some sweet potato fries if I wanted at the restaurant and not feel so damn guilty or feel like I need to just clean my entire plate. And that's freedom of choice. Freedom of choice is being able to really ask yourself, what do I genuinely want? And again, maybe you order the salad because that's what you genuinely want. That sounds good. And you're not sitting there feeling deprived because everyone else is ordering burgers. You're just like, that's what I want. And then maybe another day you're like, heck yeah, give me the burger, sweet potato fries, and dessert, and you enjoy it without this out of control eating. This is your true brain. This is freedom of choice. The goal isn't to always choose like the healthiest option, and the goal isn't to just eat whatever the heck and bob you want. The goal is that you get to decide. You get to choose what to eat, not your urges, not boredom, not stress, not your restrict brain, not your binge brain. You eat when you're hungry. You can stop when you're comfortably full and satisfied. You can honor a craving. You can choose a nourishing food option because you care about your health without feeling restricted. You can have something sweet without feeling like you're opening the floodgates. And then food stops being this huge freaking decision that you have to make all day long. It's just like, this is what I want. That is eating like a normal person. And this is exactly what I help you with inside of my signature program, Conquer. When you have rewired your brain, you have freedom of choice and you're eating like a normal person. You can have a cookie in the house without obsessing over it, or like my client that would just like forget that she even had sweets in the house. You can feel comfortably full and actually stop. You can wake up feeling light and energetic instead of promising yourself to be good. You're fully present with your husband, not planning the binge while sitting with him on the couch at 8:47 p.m. You have so much space inside of your brain, and it does not matter how long you've struggled with this for. I had a client, Nora. She was binging and secret eating and struggling with her relationship with food for over 20 years. She tried all the diets under the sun. She tried nutritionists, and after rewiring her brain and implementing the root and rewire process that I teach, She said, thanks to Lorna, I can say that after 20 years, I'm finally binge free. I'm no longer eating in secret, having obsessive food thoughts, feeling shame and disgust with myself, pretending to be the quote unquote clean girl in public, and then raiding the pantry when I return home. I've been working with Lorna for 5 months. And if you would have told me 5 months ago, not only would I be where I am now, but also the person I've become, I would have said you're delusional, but Lorna is the real deal. She not only provides realistic tools to conquer binge eating, but she also provides tools that are so manageable to do for someone who feels so broken and defeated by this issue. And it's more than just tools. Lorna provides baby step challenges, exercises, and so much support for both herself and the phenomenal community she has built. So it actually doesn't matter how long you've struggled with this for. You can absolutely rewire your brain. This is something that you can learn. Like, you are not broken. I had another client that I worked with, and she used to emotionally eat ice cream every single night. It was her alone time. She said it was like the only time she actually had for herself. Time when nobody needed her. She was by herself. Our kids were in bed. And she thought she would never be able to stop eating ice cream. But after working together, she got to a point where she actually stopped wanting ice cream. And it wasn't because she was restricting herself, depriving herself, or telling herself that she just couldn't have it. She just simply lost interest in it. And she still enjoys ice cream to this day. But she doesn't have that need, that pull, that urge to binge or emotionally eat it anymore. There was actually one day she opened up the freezer and saw the ice cream, but she also saw frozen pineapples, and she genuinely was craving the frozen pineapple, so she chose that. And she's like, okay, this is so weird because ice cream is like a massive trigger food for me, but that is freedom of choice. She genuinely wanted the pineapples and she chose that. Like, you have the ability to choose that. And that is so freaking exciting. You can absolutely rewire your brain with any trigger food. So it can be around and you just don't even have an urge to binge or emotionally eat it. So if you're listening to this thinking, this is exactly what I'm doing, I don't want to spend another 6 months or another year trying to figure this out alone. This is exactly what I help you do inside of Conquer. Conquer is where we take this understanding and actually practice it in your real life until these new responses become normal. Because knowing what to do and actually doing it when a strong urge comes on are two completely different things. You can intellectually know, I don't want to binge, I'm already full, I'm going to regret this, but then you're home alone, the cookies are sitting in your kitchen, your binge brain is just like, F it, and suddenly, like, none of that knowledge feels like enough. That is why inside of Conquer, you're not doing this alone. You have coaching for those exact moments. You can learn how to respond differently instead of repeating the same habitual urge binge cycle. You're surrounded by women who actually get how big it is when you leave fries on your plate, when you feel an urge and you don't give in, or you have a trigger food without obsessing over it. Like, those wins might sound so freaking small to someone who's never struggled with binge eating, but inside of our badass community, we know how freaking huge these wins are. And that's what I ultimately want for you, to be able to say, like, holy moly, like, I eat like a normal person now. This is so possible for you. Every single person who's come to me thought they were the exception. Like, maybe other people can, but I can't, or I've struggled with this for too long. And then they're the exact same people who are like, I can't even believe this is my life right now. So if you're ready to be one of those people who eats normally, you're ready to sustainably conquer binge eating, and no longer spend another year promising yourself just one last time, you can message me the word conquer and I will send you all the details. You'll have the process, the root and rewire process that I walk every one of my clients through, the coaching, the badass community to help you rewire the urge binge cycle, to strengthen your true brain, and to have what I call freedom of choice with food. My goal for you is to finally just close this chapter and get back to living your life without food in the driver's seat. I want you to be in the driver's seat because it's so possible. So if that's what you're ready for, message me Conquer and I'll send you the details. I'm rooting so freaking hard for you, badass, and I can't wait to support you.